Hi, welcome back to the next installment from Deadly Affirmations, the video novel. Today we're going to read the first part of Chapter 10, and Chapter 10 is entitled Follow Your Heart. So if you're ready, sit back, relax, and see what Patience Murphy is up to today. Follow your heart. Detective Marcel Williams got to work on time Wednesday morning. He always did. As soon as he had taken off his jacket and hung his hat on the rack, Officer Freeman knocked on his door and brought in the morning paper. "Have you seen this?" Freeman asked. "What is it, Carl?" "I've got a ton of work," Williams said. "Well, now it looks like you've got another ton, Marcel. There's been another murder." Detective Williams grabbed the paper. The first story above the fold shouted in banner headlines, "Dreadful Murder!" and then explained in 12 paragraphs that the victim, Betty Husted, lived in a little house about a block from the railway arch on Cable Street, worked at a local business, Thorough Solutions, and had been murdered in her kitchen sometime on Tuesday before 8 p.m. "Why am I reading about this in the newspaper, Carl?" Detective Williams asked. "Well, as far as we know, the lawn service guy, some high school kid, showed up at Mrs. Husted's back door to collect last night. He knocked on her door. The kitchen light was on. No one answered, and the kid looked through the crack in the curtains and saw Mrs. Husted on the floor. The kid took out his phone and snapped some pictures. He texted them to his cousin, a reporter for the River City Observer and Bulletin, George Lusk. Lusk went over to Ms. Husted's home to investigate. He called 911 when he got there, after he had walked around her house trying to find a way in. When the paramedics got there, they forced open the door, and Lusk barged in with them. He wrote the story while the paramedics were putting Ms. Husted into the ambulance. He sent his story into the paper in time for the 11 p.m. deadline, and there it was in the paper this morning. The folks at the hospital pronounced her dead and notified our night guy, Hoskins. He wrote down the info and slipped it into the captain's inbox. And when the first shift came on this morning, the captain sent a forensics crew to the house and wanted you to get over there as soon as you got in." "God fucking damn," Williams swore, his voice starting out quietly and getting increasingly louder as he let himself feel the extent to which he had been fucked. "I must be fucking dreaming. How the fucking fuck did some little lawn-mowing cocksucker and his fuckwad inbred son of a bitch cousin get into our fucking crime scene before we fucking did? What the fuck? Give me the fucking keys to a motherfucking car and tell that dumb fuck assistant of mine to get his fucking ass over to the fucking hospital to gather some fucking evidence while I join the forensic fucks at the fucking murder scene." Williams paused for a second to get his breath, and as Officer Freeman's mouth dropped open in shock, Williams continued, "Are you fucking deaf, you fucking moron? What the fuck is keeping you here? Get your fucking ass moving." Officer Freeman ran out of the office before Detective Williams could say another fucking word. Williams put his coat and hat back on and burst out of his office, slamming the door so hard that the glass cracked. His secretary, Suzanne Fabre, tossed him the keys to a cruiser. "Car 54, Detective," and went back to typing something before Williams could raise his voice at her, too. 20 minutes later, Detective Williams was pulling up in front of the little house on Cable Street. There was the River City PD Criminal Investigations van parked in the driveway. The forensics guys, R. Quincy, Williams always thought of him as R. Kelly, and Barry Allen found Betty's prints all over the kitchen, all over the house. She was an excellent housekeeper. There were no other prints except a man's prints on the headboard of the bed, in the bathroom, on the sink, and in the shower, on the bedroom dresser, and on the top of the washing machine. Quincy and Allen told Williams that they had also found 2 non-Betty pubic hairs, a man's, one in the bedroom on the carpet on the floor next to the bed, and another on the washing machine, in addition to one of Betty's on the top of the washing machine. Detective Williams thanked the technicians and asked them to give him a call when they had more information. There was not much for Williams to do except to go back to the station and keep plugging away at the other murders. He worked until 1 in the afternoon and then walked to the little diner across the street from the police station for some lunch. A BLT on toasted white bread and an unsweetened iced tea. His wife would be proud of him if she hadn't decided to leave him 2 years ago to find herself. The last he had heard, she was managing a death metal band in Portland, Oregon, and was half owner of a medical marijuana dispensary, making a crap ton of money. He thought about having dessert. Maybe a hot fudge sundae, that bitch. While he was scooping up the last of the fudge, his phone rang. It was Quincy. The prints and hairs were not in the crime database, but they were in the system. They belonged to a corpse in the morgue, Robbie Daniels. That added a new wrinkle to the case. A jealous lover murdered his or her lover and his or her lover. That really doesn't make it much clearer, Williams thought, just about the time he thought about having a cigarette. He had given up smoking a year or two before his wife had left him. It was time to get back to the station. Patience got up a little early. She had planned to make a crock-pot chicken cacciatore for dinner, and it required a little prep time, but it would be almost ready when she got home from work, so she would still have time to make a little antipasto and cook the pasta for her dinner, and there would be yummy leftovers for at least a couple of lunches. It was an easy recipe. First, she put a liner in the slow cooker, then she pulled a bag of 6 skinless, boneless chicken breast halves out of the meat drawer in the fridge, took them out of their plastic wrapping, and put them into the crock-pot. She tossed the dripping plastic into the garage under the sink before rummaging through the pantry for a jar of spaghetti sauce. She dumped the sauce over the chicken and washed and rinsed the jar, leaving it to dry in the dish rack. Then she seeded and cubed a gorgeous yellow bell pepper and an equally lovely red one, sliced up a handful of button mushrooms, and diced an onion. She went back into the fridge for a jar of minced garlic and added a spoonful of it to the pot along with the chopped up veggies. Finally, she put the cover on the pot, set it for 9 hours and 15 minutes. After cleaning up the kitchen from the prep, she took a shower, not bothering to wash her hair, brushed and flossed her teeth, and went to the dresser and closet to choose an outfit for the day at work. She felt terrific this morning and decided upon a vintage 1950 shirtwaist dress that she had found on Etsy. It was made of slightly shiny, almost shark skin-like cotton. The ad had called it Jewel Tone in fall colors. It had a split collar, 3/4 cuff sleeves, each with 2 buttons, and a fitted button front russet-colored bodice, a vented back, nipped waist, and a very full pleated skirt. The skirt was made of vibrantly colored panels, ruby red, emerald green, sapphire blue, chestnut brown, like her hair, and vivid orange. There was a skinny brown leather belt that she had found that went perfectly with it. She looked into her closet and found her brown and white saddle shoes, and in her dresser a pair of screaming purple knee-high socks to complement her dress. "I've got the ginchiest threads, Daddy-O," she said, checking herself out in the mirror when she was finished dressing. She made an uninspired lunch, some baby carrots and little broccoli florets in a Ziploc, a couple of teaspoons of store-made tzatziki spooned into a little plastic tub, and a really beautiful Newton Pippin apple. It was Benjamin Franklin's and Queen Victoria's favorite apple. Just another reason why she liked shopping at Hoffman's Market. They had the best new foods. And she was almost ready for work. The only thing left to do before she left was to read her guide and affirmation for the day. When you listen to your heart, acknowledge your feelings. Heed your intuition, open the doors to your perceptions, follow your gut, act on your hunches, and go with the flow. You will be able to discern your destiny. And number 77, I am independent, ingenious, and indefatigable in all that I do. When Patience got to work, she dove into the files, not taking a coffee break until about 10:30. In the break room, she made herself a Keurig hot chocolate and sat at the little table, minding her own business. There was a copy of the morning's paper on the table, and she glanced at the headline, "Dreadful Murder." What do you know, she thought. When she got home from work, the crock pot still had an hour and a half or so to go, so Patience decided to do a little reorganizing of the basement. There were things that she had straightened when she bought the little house, but there were still dusty corners that she had never thoroughly cleaned. She changed into jeans and a blue work shirt and headed down the wooden steps. At the bottom of the stairs, she pulled the string on the 100-watt bulb that lit up the creepy space. There, in a corner, were a bunch of cleaning supplies that probably needed to be sorted through, with the majority thrown away. There was a cleaning bucket, keeper, microfiber scrub pads, toothbrushes, a grout brush, and a couple of little plastic scrapers, keep them too. A plunger, toilet bowl brush, and pumice stone, yep, keep them. A mop, some sponges, a long broom with its dustpan, and a couple of scrub brushes. They were fuller brushes, almost antiques, but well worth keeping. Then the actual cleaners, a can of Nellie's Laundry Nuggets, keep. A box of Hoffman's finest store-brand laundry detergent, keep. Bottles of fabric softener, spray and wash stain remover, and bleach, keep. And a little box of caustic soda. Comet, Mr. Clean, botanical disinfectant with time. Keep. A rusty old can of Pledge, dump it. A jar of Parker & Bailey cabinet cream, keep. A couple of pairs of disposable gloves, keep. Baking soda, white vinegar, rubbing alcohol, Windex, soap scum remover, and ammonia. Patience kept lemons in the fridge. Stainless steel cleaner, silver polish, and Brasso, keep all that stuff. Finally, there was her vacuum cleaner and a dustbuster, plugged in and fully charged, and 2 laundry bags for rags. One was full of clean rags, and the other was empty. Patients dirtied a few of the clean rags, wiping off the shelves where the cleaning supplies were now neatly organized. She made a mental note to pick up a box of paper shop towels and took the rusty can of furniture polish upstairs to the trash. As she walked up the stairs, Patience made a mental note. Mama said to never mix ammonia and bleach. The fumes could be deadly. Lye, the sodium hydroxide caustic soda, could clean an oven, clean a drain, or kill you dead. And silver polish sometimes contains cyanide. She thought.